Hey guys, this is Charles from SentiFX. It is June 7th, 2020. Let's take a look at where the markets have been and where we may go going forward. Okay, here is the dollar. This is my monthly view. We can see that the dollar has been in a downtrend. Okay, and it actually tested this area right here. Okay, and it immediately rejected to the upside. Okay, and currently price is building a little bit above where it was previously trading earlier last week. Okay, does this mean that it's going to turn around? Not necessarily, but we are seeing a bounce from a key area back in March. Okay, so if price starts to push up and retest, we're looking at, potentially start taking some of these stops going upward. Okay, let's take a look at our weekly view. We can see, same idea, right? I mean, obviously it's going to be the same price, just a different perspective. But once we pushed down, took out stops here, we came back up, grabbed stops here, and we built up a little higher. And currently we're not taking out these lows. Okay, so the dollar may start reversing here and going back up. Okay, so keep an eye on it, but the trend is down, the volume's down, the move is down, so don't get too excited unless we see a clear structural break. Okay, if we get an impulse move to the upside, then the market makers would have tipped their hands. Looking at the daily, we can see that on Friday we did have that push down, and then we took out stops, and then we just kind of hovered in a range. Okay, so looking at our market profile, yep, price pushed down here to this point of control over here. Okay, and then immediately responded. Okay, and price closed at the top of its range. So let's zoom in a little bit. Okay, so price came down, touched that point of control. It was immediately rejected, and price closed towards the top of its range. Okay, and you can look at some of these past few days with the dollar. It's closing below value or near the bottom of the range for most of them. This one's somewhere near the point of control, bottom of the range, at the point of control, bottom of the range, bottom of the range, top of the range. Okay, so there was some buying in here. Okay, we can break this out and see. Price came down, touched that point of control, responded, okay, and closed at the upper end above its point of control. So keep an eye on the dollar. Okay, we need to see how the dollar plays out today, tomorrow, for Monday. I did a segment in our market structure deep dive course on the Monday's range, and we'll be adding to that going forward. I just want you to know that that's been a very powerful concept to apply to the market, and I just released it to the community. So anybody that's a member has access to that. And last week, let me pull up the calculator for it. You could have pulled in 1,214 pips by following that one strategy. Okay, by having a broader concept of the market and following the concept of the Monday range. Last week, just trading the majors, you could have banked 1,214 pips. Okay, so we're going to see how today and Monday plays out. And if we start to see a migration of value going up, then the bias is definitely going to shift on this one. There's lots of liquidity for the taken to the upside for the dollar. Okay, and if we pull in and look at the euro, we can see that price has been moving upward. Okay, it ran up, grabbed some stops, and then closed within Thursday's range. Okay, so this was Friday. price came back in, and it's back in this range. Okay, so it may go down to fill to this, these high value nodes here. It may go down here first if it's going to continue, but if we see a breakout below this, then we can expect price to continue downward for the euro dollar. Okay, the Australian dollar, it's also been moving upward aggressively. We also have a migration upward here. Okay, so at the moment, you don't want to consider any shorts on this pair. Okay, you want to look for long opportunities until that changes. Because there's nothing about the way price is moving to say that it's headed down yet. Once it starts, there's lots of room to go to the downside. But as of right this second, before the market opens, I would not be looking for shorts until we start seeing moves below 68.88. Okay, once you get a move below that, a strong move, pull back, we're going to have some pretty serious downward continuation, I would imagine. I mean, there's lots of room to go down. Okay, but if we step back, we can see that price has been steadily pushing its way upward. Okay, so I wouldn't be aiming for 5600s here. Price isn't likely to go down that far. Okay, if we start getting pullbacks, we might get pullbacks to this area, to 66.85, before it starts continuing upward again. Okay, so the main trend here is an upward flow. Okay, but it doesn't mean we can't make money to the downside if this week ends up being down week. Okay, and typically with New Zealand dollar, Australian dollar, same scenarios, similar economies. A lot of times they move in lockstep. You can see it's been moving upward, and we have a higher value area here. So same ideas with New Zealand dollar. You're not going to want to trade these together or opposite, because you're just putting yourself at more risk. If you go opposite, chances are you're just going to lose, because one's going to move more than the other. And if you go with, and it ends up being a down week, and you have both of them leveraged at going on the upside, you're going to get hit doubly on this one for sure. Okay, so just keep in mind that with the New Zealand dollar, if you like trading New Zealand over the Australian dollar, then choose a pair. Okay, whichever one you want, choose one and go with that one. Okay, so for pound dollar, okay, so we've had this move upward. Price started to migrate down, and then on Friday, boom, it opened above value, tested value, moved upward, and continued. Okay, so this pair also at the moment is not a short. Okay, you're not going to want to start even thinking about shorts until we go below, I would say, this point of control, at least 25.39. Okay, and then start moving to retest this point of control here. Dollar yen. This was a great trade for me this week. Explosive move. Okay, and there's no sign as of right now of this moving downward. Okay, so you may get a fill here, and it may continue upwards. Okay, price likes to build out that normal distribution, and so we might come back down, test this area, or test this value area high, and then continue upward. Okay, so I'm not looking to short UJ at the moment. We have to see how today plays out. And dollar CAD, it's starting to enter an area of prior value. Okay, there was lots of value bouncing around in this area. Okay, so be very cautious here. I mean, even though the move has been down and short, I would just be very careful here. okay, because it may end up going into one of these areas and then just immediately reversing and start to rip higher. Okay, but on these 3 days we had similar value. We can combine those profiles. Okay, and then on Friday, price went down. It tested that point of control of these combined profiles. Okay, came back, tried to retest again, and then pushed down. Okay, so the bias is down. Again, you need to be aware of context. So with dollar CAD, the context is we're reaching prior areas of value. Okay, so it may come in here and accept here for a while and then decide if it wants to go up or down based on, you know, the liquidity above or below or, you know, economic conditions. But either way, at the moment, this is a dangerous area, you know, so I would expect more of an acceptance of value in this range more than anything. So it'll probably move lower and just bounce around somewhere between this 3301 to 3449. Okay, somewhere in that area. So this definitely wouldn't be something on my watch list for this week. There's no room for it. Okay, the plays were definitely, you know, the move down once we broke these lows, and then, you know, into this area to fill this gap. You can see there was a huge liquidity gap here, right? And that got nicely filled by this area here, by these combined profiles. Okay, I always talk about how the liquidity gaps need to be filled at some point in the future. Okay, and that's a good example. Okay, I mean, you can see when even here how we had this thin liquidity with this move up, and then as price took out stops, it started filling it in really well. Okay, filled it in nicely, and then continued up and then back down and bounced around. Okay, so liquidity gaps will get filled, but this was just a straight up gap in the market, and that was on 3/8. So that was probably right around the time of all the coronavirus news and all that stuff, and you just had this huge gap up. Okay. All right, let's take a look at sentiment and see where retail stands with sentiment. Okay, let's take a look at sentiment and how price has been moving with that sentiment. Okay, we can see that retail started shorting right after the move here, okay, and continue to add to their short positions to get into the extremes. Okay, they're starting to be less short. Okay, we can see that their positioning starting to, you know, decrease on the short side, but you can see that there was tons of time and opportunity to make money going long the euro dollar here, retail heavily shorting. That can also be seen by our relative sentiment here. Retail was adding a lot of shorts and decreasing their long positioning. Okay, and price just continued to move up. Dollar yen, we're looking at retail really just starting to, let me put the bars on here. You know, they really didn't start going short until this you know, impulse move upward. And then once that started, they have been increasing their short positioning, and price has just been continuing to move up. Okay, so that's usually a good sign. Once you see that, usually it's one or the other. Okay, you'll start to see the change in relative sentiment or the retail positioning, or market structure will change first, and then retail follows opposite of that. That's typically the pattern that we look for. So either one is the leading indicator. You just have to see what's happening, right? So if you start seeing retail starting to short way back here, chances are you're going to get a pop to the upside. And if the market pops and then retail starts shorting, you can expect price to continue to move upward. And so with our indicator here, we can see when that positioning starts changing, and the dark red is the average positioning between the longs and shorts. So you can see the average long to short ratio, retail is just adding more and more shorts. Okay, they're getting to the extremes, and we can even see with relative sentiment right after that spike, they started adding shorts. They're like, oh no, I missed the move. Let me just add short positions. And they got out of their long positionings. As you can see, the blue decreased, right? And price just continued to move upward. Okay, and that's because retail is just adding more and more shorts as it moves up, and their stops get hit and it pushes price upward. And so I don't think we're at the end of this yet, because retail is still getting more short and adding to their shorts. Okay, so we'll see how that plays out with the dollar yen. Great trade though, earlier this week. Okay, dollar franc. We had retail going long, okay, and price started drifting down. Let's look at our candles here. Retail started going long once stops got grabbed here, and price has continued to drift down, and then we had a jump up on Friday back above this area. Okay, but there's nothing significant at the time. If for this pair, if retail starts adding to their long positions, we'll see the blue increase on relative sentiment, and we'll also see the average sentiment price start increasing here. Then price may revert back down. Okay, but this isn't really a clear pair at this moment. I wouldn't trade it. I'm just kind of going over what happened with price and how things kind of moved. Dollar CAD, we can see that retail is actually starting to go long in this area up here. So probably after these stops got grabbed, retail was trying to go long, and then boom, they got smacked in the face. Okay, and since then retail has tried to go long. They increased their long positions, and price just continued to move down. So the only thing alarming here, which is kind of similar to what I was talking about with value, and it's starting to get into that value area, is that any retail shorts, they're decreasing here, but they're not increasing their longs. So that's a little bit concerning, you see. And you can see, like, even with this, the positioning's hovering at this long positioning. Okay, so they've gotten stopped out. They started to get stopped out. They might get stopped out a little more, but they're not increasing their long positions. Okay, they're just any that were short or decreasing on the short side. So again, this one might have hit or is close to having hit its extension of this move, and may start drifting back upwards to take out the average long positioning here. Because I'm not liking what I'm seeing with the relative sentiment, and I didn't like the fact that price is approaching prior value area. Stops clearly grabbed here, and retail's they're not really adding anything here. They're just holding on, hoping that price moves back. That's really what's happening. Okay, the Australian dollar, retail has been shorting this for quite some time. And you can see that price just continues to drift upward and upward and upward. Okay, they keep adding to their shorts, decreasing their longs, adding to their shorts, decreasing longs, okay, significantly last week. We're in the extreme zones with retail being short, prices moving up, and typically this doesn't last too long. Okay, so we may start seeing some reversion back down, at least temporarily, just to flush out anybody trying to go long and get some more shorts on board, and then flush them out to the long side. Okay, but you can see that as sentiment just kind of increased, especially throughout last week, price just moved up. Okay, New Zealand dollar, similar scenario. Retail started shorting. They got their little pullback, got excited, and boom, they probably got stopped out, and then more started shorting. Okay, price is kind of slowly drifting down. Shorts are getting excited, thinking, price is going to go all the way back down to here, and then boom, clear them out, get more shorts on board, add to the losers, right? And then price just continues drifting upward as sentiment gets more and more short. Retail start decreasing longs, increasing shorts, decreasing longs, increasing shorts. Okay, price is just drifting up. All right, now our pound dollar. Let's see where we are with that. Okay. Retail started shorting up in here. And price just continued to move up. And retail probably saw this as a pullback to this area and tried to go short for a move down. Okay, this is our sign, right? This is our clues that we use to make sure we're on the right side of the market. Okay, even though market structure appeared to have shifted down, it actually didn't make a lower low overall. Okay, and when it pulled back, retail thought that this was the retest to continue down. Okay, they started shorting. The price moved up a little more. They're like, oh, let me get a better price. They started shorting more. Okay, and what does price do? Boom, takes them out, or they start adding to their losers. And as they start increasing their short positions, price just continues to move up. Okay, a little fake out for retail here. It starts pulling down. Again, we're not breaking these lower lows, and price just moves up, and retail short. Price just continues to move opposite of what retail is trying to do, because their liquidity is just there for the taking, right? All right, that's it for our analysis. That's where we are with sentiment and market structure, and hope you have a good trading week. We'll be posting any trades we see throughout the week in a trading group at our SentiFX community. If you're interested in being a member, join us. Go to our SentiFX.com page and join us. I just added a segment on the Monday range, and I'll continue posting about that until we kind of have covered every angle of what that Monday range is about and opportunities, because last week you could have made, what was it, 1,214 pips, okay, just trading the majors and just following the Monday range and looking at how retail is positioned with their sentiment. Okay, that would have given you an edge in the direction, and also using the strategy of the Monday range to just have an easy trade. Actually, the only thing is just to be able to hold on, for a couple days. It's a swing trade. So that would have more than paid for membership and would have paid for a lifetime membership just in 1 week. So the stuff I'm teaching is actual knowledge from 16 years of experience trading in the markets. I know what works, what doesn't work. I know what's BS and not BS. I've tried every strategy out there. Okay, I've tried all the things that make somewhat sense to see if it actually works. Okay, so the things I share with the community are things that work more often than they do not. And that's what trading's about, right? Having the probabilities on your side. Okay, and so you're going to learn a lot over time by being part of our community and just absorbing the knowledge and putting it into practice. All right, hope you've learned something, and we'll see you in the community or see you next week.